Rational thinking is thinking in accordance with logic, the laws of probability and evidence. It leads to true conclusions. In practice, however, we aren't always rational. Actually, in certain contexts, we are predictably irrational. We predictably tend to get certain things wrong. Let me show you this with two simple riddles. The first one goes as follows. Martin is a single man aged 45. He is an introvert and likes to read. What is more likely? A. Martin is a librarian, or B. Martin is a salesman. The second one. What is more likely? That you will die from a shark attack, A, or from a dislodged part of an airplane that comes crashing down, B. Now, chances are that for both riddles, the answer A popped in your head, and you would be wrong. Answer B is actually the correct answer in both cases. In riddle 1, we forget to take into account that there are many more salespeople than librarians. Approximately 100 times more. That is why, despite the character description of Martin, it is still much more likely that he is a salesman. Not taking into account the fact that there are many more salespeople than librarians is known as the base rate fallacy or base rate blindness. The base rate being the percentage of librarians versus the percentage of salespeople. In riddle 2, the odds are actually 30 times greater that you die from a broken part of an aircraft that comes crashing down than from a shark attack. But since shark attacks get a lot more media attention and are more easily imagined, we tend to think that they are more likely to occur. This is known as the availability bias. We overestimate the likeliness that something will occur when it is easy to recall or imagine. Now, why do we jump to the wrong conclusions? The psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky have investigated that question. According to Kahneman and Tversky, we possess two thinking systems, aptly named System 1 and System 2. System 1 is our intuitive thinking system. It is fast, automatic, and effortless. System 2 is our conscious thinking system. It is slow and effortful. When you see this face, your System 1 instantaneously and automatically detects that this person is mad. But when you see this equation, System 1 doesn't have an immediate answer and System 2 must take over. You slowly and effortfully work on solving the equation. System 1, or intuitive thinking system, uses heuristics. Heuristics are simple rules of thumb we apply without being aware of it. And we do so to come to an answer. The heuristic we used in the first riddle, whether Martin was a librarian or salesman, is what fits best is most likely. The heuristic we used in the second riddle, whether you are more likely to die of a shark attack or a dislodged airplane part falling down, was what is easiest to imagine is most likely. And those heuristics, they get it right in most cases, but as you may have experienced firsthand, they do not always get it right. Luckily, System 2 can come to the rescue. We can gather the required information, think things through, and set our intuitive reasoning straight when needed. But System 2 requires time and effort and is what Kahneman and Tversky call a lazy controller. Generally, we let system 1 run the show, except if system 1 doesn't have an answer, like in the example of the equation. And even if we do take the trouble to switch on system 2 and start reasoning about a problem, we are not free of biases or reasoning errors. In fact, the bias that plagues our thinking the most, the mother of all biases, affects our conscious system 2 thinking. That bias is the infamous confirmation bias. We tend to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. The confirmation bias makes us selectively blind for counter-evidence. As a result, we tend to stick to our beliefs and opinions even when we are wrong, simply because we look for confirmation and filter out all of the information that goes against our beliefs, often without being aware of it. And in addition to the confirmation bias, the base rate fallacy and the availability biases, the biases plaguing us in the two riddles at the beginning of this clip, psychologists have discovered a long list of other biases, such as the overconfidence bias. We have too much confidence in the correctness of our answers. The hindsight bias. We overestimate the probability that we would have accorded to the occurrence of a certain event after the event actually occurred. This one is also known as the "I knew it all along" effect. And the belief bias, the fact that we take on board bad arguments uncritically when we agree with their conclusion. These cognitive biases are universal, systematic, and permanent. And in this sense, they are like perceptual illusions or visual illusions, like the illusion you see here, known as the Müller-Lyer illusion. These illusions are universal. All humans see the top line as being shorter than the bottom line, although this is not the case. They're also systematic. We always see the top line as shorter than the bottom line. And they are permanent. Even if we do know that both lines are equal in length, still we see the top line as being shorter than the bottom line. Similarly, our cognitive biases are universal. All humans are susceptible to the same biases. They are systematic. Our thinking is always distorted in the same way. And they are permanent. Even if we're aware of these biases, we still tend to make these same reasoning errors. But by being aware of these biases, and importantly, identifying these biases in our own thinking, we can improve our thinking. But why should we bother? What is the use of rational thinking? Well, rational thinking leads to better decisions. It makes us smarter consumers and investors. It also makes us better professionals, scientists, and policymakers. And that brings me to the most important reason why we should think rationally. Rational thinking leads to a better society. Important societal problems arise out of irrationality. The overconfidence bias has been linked to warfare. If you don't believe you can win, you generally do not engage in a war. So at least one party is often overconfident in a military conflict. Overconfidence also leads to risk-taking in a financial context, which can lead to financial crises. Finally, rational thinking enables us to debunk wild and harmful conspiracy theories, such as the theory that the COVID-19 outbreak is caused by 5G telecommunications infrastructure, or that coronavirus vaccines contain microchips. Rational thinking is therefore not just a matter of intellectual preference or even of self-interest. It is first and foremost a matter of societal responsibility. Better thinking leads to a better world, and we can all have a part in that.